Hello. Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate your interest as I share my journey into the world of genealogy and family history, using and bringing along with me my neurodivergent and very non-linear brain, which has made traditional methods particularly challenging for me. We're not going to give up. Just because we think differently does not mean we cannot have the benefits of that wonderful connection to our ancestors. So, what I'm hoping today is that you will feel that there are some great solutions and just ideas to try out, whether you're nonlinear or not. And I hope it'll be helpful to you, whether you yourself are um, a different kind of thinker and learner, or if you happen to work with somebody who has those particular ways of operating. So today I'm hoping to share with you the process that led to me being able to create a 4-generation video that shows stories of resilience in my family. I was able to create this and to gift it to my family last year for Christmas. And it went down so well, and so many people have come from actually all over the globe to ask me about this process that I wanted to share that today. So that's what we're going to do to start off with. I'm going to switch my screen and we'll get started. Okay, enough of me talking at you. Let's get some visuals going. I created this sketch note because what I want to think about now is how can we work with our brain rather than against it. And if you, like me, have a non-linear or a neurodivergent way of learning and thinking, then I'm hoping this will be useful to you. The thing I've learned from many years of teaching people who are neurodivergent is that the more we understand how we process and how we remember things, the better chance we have of being able to operate in a maximum value method. For me personally, that means I have to understand the unique qualities, for example, of the person I want to get to know. That I need to record and maybe share those pieces of information through a sensory way, not just text. And that I need to have an emotional resonance with that person, which usually means story, which is full of all of these things, or can be. So here is my ancestor, Sarah Annie, who I call Granny Annie, even though she was my great aunt. Isn't she wonderful? I always think she's pretty much as wide as she was tall, but she was a woman of incredible resilience and resourcefulness. And you may have heard me tell the story before of how she helped me to get through the most horrific year back in 2024. Even though I never met her, she was long gone, but just having heard her story, and thank goodness I was able to recall it when I really needed it. I got through that year thanks to her. But it really was just luck that I remembered, and that's not good enough. So let's go back to what we learned in that sketch note at the beginning. And I want to share with you some of the ways that I am recording and telling these stories so that I can remember them when I need them. And also just because those ancestors deserve it. They deserve to be remembered, especially when they have been often through so much. So my first iteration was to focus on this idea of what are the unique qualities. A lot of us begin research because we have a family photo, Or maybe we've heard an anecdote about a family member and it leads us to want to know more. Well, you've seen the photograph that I have of Granny Annie, and because I like to sketch a little, I decided to sit down and have a go at drawing that exact photo, although it's not very exact, as you can see. But here's the wonderful thing. If you become a photo detective, that to me means that you look more carefully. And I cannot think of a better way to really examine a photo than to try to copy or to draw what you see there. It doesn't matter how good you are at drawing, because what happens is that by drawing a photo, it slows down the way that you look at it. And you notice things that perhaps a single glance or maybe even several glances may not reveal to you. For example, as I drew this copy of Granny Annie standing in the street outside of her house, I noticed some beautiful things. I noticed her deep-set eyes that seemed to be sad and to show some of the care that she had and sorrow and maybe watchfulness. But I also noticed that beneath her voluminous apron, shop apron, because she was a shopkeeper, and her very practical heavy skirt, there was this beautiful little floral print blouse. And I felt like this said, I am more than this hard life demands of me. But I had to look closely to see that feminine touch in her. My second brain-friendly strategy for myself is to have a sensory interaction with the material. This usually means getting the information off of a flat screen or document and creating something I can hold in my hands. This is a really powerful thing that we're kind of forgetting in this day and age. But the opportunity to tell a story in a way that involves your hands especially can be very memorable and definitely increases my chances as an ADHD person of staying focused and being able to remember the material that I'm reading. So this is actually what's called a zine. Some photographs of a little zine I made. If you've never heard of a zine before, it comes from the word magazine, but it's just a single sheet of paper that is folded. And what's wonderful about a little zine is that you can record a story, maybe even just a single event about one of your ancestors, and then it's so easy to pop it into an envelope. I've made them as gifts to send to people, and I can carry it around with me, and there's just something magical about this little booklet. It's kind of hard to explain or to convince people of this until they've had this experience, but it's an easy thing to try, and you can just do it in your own way. People collage little photographs in them. As you can see, there's some text, but I try to keep that to a minimum, just telling what we call the beats or the key points and moments of the story. You can draw little sketches. It's really something that has no definite way of doing it, except that it's on a single sheet of paper and there is a magical way to fold it, which I'm not going to go into right now. That's for another lesson. But a zine is just one example of many that I've created to bring a sensory experience. For C and D, the last ways that I find my brain really enjoys picking up on these stories and understanding them is to create emotional resonance. And story itself is such a powerful way of doing that. If I feel what they felt, or just imagine how it might have been, I am much more likely to feel connected to them and to remember. So this video is the very first of my resilient reels, and this, as you will see, is the culmination of the processes I've shown so far. That photo detective work, creating it as a small story made up of different beats put together and then collated and collected into one short but hopefully emotionally resonant video. So this skill of creating these videos was actually not something that I already knew, but I just really wanted to expand these little sketches and that little zine and help it to grow into something that I could share with my family and others easily. And so I taught myself how to do it. Okay, so it's question time. I hope you've been putting questions in the chat. I'll have a look now, but first, here's one for you. What's a skill or hobby that you actually already have that could bring an ancestor's story to life, even for a non-linear mind like mine? Because this is really about using what you already have. And you might not have thought that your love of gardening or of cookery or of sports or so many other things could become a part of how you tell your ancestors' stories. So let's explore that.